Get those little tidings out of the way. You notice I am presenting from across the lake at the new ASHRAE headquarters today. I hope you enjoyed the virtual experience. So Megan, if you will remember, as soon as I start here, I need you to pause record, and then when you see the lighthouse, you can resume record.
Yep,
Could you
got it.
confirm that the presentation is up?
I can confirm that.
Let's take a journey, and I will sing. So I was 7 when my father died from cancer. And then my mom and I lived alone in a little railroading town called Hamlet, North Carolina. And yes, I was wearing bow ties. Oh, my pointer has stopped. Let me get my pointer. And yes, I was wearing bow ties at that very early age. My mom was a high school French teacher. Oui, je parle français, un peu. Our summers after my father's death were spent with my grandparents in Valdez, North Carolina. I called my grandfather Don. He's the handsome man right here. He was born and raised in northern Italy. This was his home in the High Alps region along the French border. He spoke a beautiful patois dialect of blended French and Italian. He would often use this language when speaking with me. One of his most endearing and often used phrases was di pagnente. Let me give you the full Italian. Di pagnente. Translated, this literally means shut up. In retrospect, I recognize that those were tough love teaching moments for a kid growing up. Listen, observe, and understand before engaging in the moment. Don immigrated here as a young man with his mother and sister in pursuit of the American dream. This is how old he was when he came through Ellis Island. Having no grasp of English, he took a leap of faith that led his family to the foothills of Western North Carolina. His example has always inspired me to have the courage to embrace change, and change is upon us. Don was a consummate engineer, machinist, and farmer. He taught me how things were built. He taught me how to farm the land and put food on the table. Working beside my grandparents during those summers provided a bounty of lessons. One of those was the natural progression of work, particularly work on the land. Plow, soil must be prepared and configured. Plant, the seed we sow, turns into the crop that grows. Maintain, what we grow needs continuous attention. Harvest, reap what you sow. I learned that you can't cheat the natural process. There is no harvest without plowing, planting, and maintaining. But why do I tell you this? Well, here's why. Engineering and construction, E&C, is a lot like farming. Plow, preparation requires assembling the correct team. Plant, the outcome we desire needs a well-defined path. Maintain, continuous improvement is implemented to drive value. Harvest, built solutions that exceed expectations are delivered. Yes, the E&C process is no different than nature's own. We can't cheat this natural flow. But let's pause for a moment to ask why. Why do I tell you this? Why should we care about plowing, planting, and maintaining within our HVAC ecosystem? Here's why. We can differentiate ourselves from our competition, identify ourselves as the innovators, improve our profit margins, attract and retain a digitally savvy workforce, and deliver value. Our evolution to digital maturity can deliver this harvest and more. Alas, every journey has a starting point, and I think Maya Angelou captures it very succinctly. Before we explore the digital path, let's reflect on our current industry state. Let's start by considering how poorly we have managed our crops. I think a busted face and bypass steam coil provides a really good backdrop. Why are we still burdened with marginal yields? Well, first, our current workflows are ripe with waste. It is estimated that in the US alone, $177 billion is lost annually. That's billion on non-productive labor activities, looking for information, engaging in conflict resolution, dealing with mistakes, and performing rework all impact the bottom line. $31 billion of this loss is directly associated with poor data and communication. Poor in this context is inaccurate, inaccessible, and incompatible. Second, E&C is a flat ecosystem. Data reflects that we are not very productive. Sadly, our annual productivity growth has only increased 1% over the past 2 decades. That's 20 years, people. Stagnation is costly. Third, our ecosystem remains one of the least digitized sectors in the world. Look at us. Look at the XY axis down here. Look where we are. To compound this shortcoming, FMI suggests that up to 95% of data that is captured goes unused. We allow knowledge to go dark. Dark knowledge becomes lost knowledge. And finally, we remain shackled to the analog age. Over many decades, we have perfected the dance of the silos. Risk and liability keep us from optimizing the whole. We protect our borders from the impact of others. We have so many touch points. We manually collect, review, and transfer data. We continuously recreate knowledge. We rarely consider cost and schedule as inputs to design. Rather, we delete scope when bids are over budget. We rely on paper for everything. Paper consumes time. We attempt to build something looking across static drawings of variable quality from multiple players. Work results get executed by who arrives first on the job site. This is the world we know. We excel at fragmentation and the weeds of waste. But that's the engineering view in me. Let's look at our current state from another perspective. What do owners want their harvest to be? They want us, ASHRAE members, they want us to do the following: resolve issues virtually before they become physical, reduce the level of unknowns, eliminate the need for RFIs, provide better cost schedule certainty, improve closeout, deliver a complete knowledge base, and, oh, importantly, deliver something that works. These are not onerous expectations. Somehow, though, our industry has managed to lose track of the harvest. How do we change course and alter these conditions of satisfaction and get the moat on the outside of the castle? Well, I'm going to tell you. Improving our harvest begins with altering our view on the execution of work. For many of us, work is a place to go perform tasks. We go to work on a project, finish work for the day, and go home. Our path to fragmentation began many decades ago when the assembly line siloed work. Think back that far. The progression through industries 2.0 and 3.0 refined work task. Over time, we have systematically built our own silos. What is the work that really needs to be done? What if work itself was redefined? What if we shifted from task to higher value activities? Prepare yourself. A new vision of human engagement awaits work, workforce, and workplace. Imagine a world where we break down work silos and become one integrated force. Collaboration will engage all stakeholders at inception to find value. Digital intelligence will amplify human intelligence. We will be relieved of the exhaustive and repetitive. We will become more analytical and strategic. Projects will move from disconnected paper to connected platforms. We will evolve from intent to build to building virtually. The cloud will facilitate contribution from anywhere in the world at any time by anybody. Digital precision will challenge where physical work actually occurs. In the field will no longer be the only place for work results to play out. In 3 steps, un, deux, trois, we can make this our new reality. So let's explore that. Step 1 of our transformation requires proper preparation via lean collaboration. Preparation must always keep value discovery in focus. Beneficial impact is best realized when captured early. This was covered with the McElhaney curves years ago. We need as a team to be working along line 4. Instead, with our conventional processes, we work along line 3 here. Effort that occurs later in development has minimal opportunity to impact value, and changes, as you know, become very expensive. Lean processes create better customer experiences. Our ecosystem needs to adopt a lesson from manufacturing. That which does not add value is waste, pure waste. But how do we uncover value? 6 principles of lean illuminate our path. Respect for people is the core fundamental. We must evolve to value stakeholders and their knowledge, solve the issues and stop blaming the participants, and honor our commitments to the team. Look beyond the borders to optimize the whole. Define what customer value means. What do they want? How do they want it? And what are they willing to pay to get it? Map the value stream to identify and remove waste, create flow. And finally, demonstrate continuous improvement along the path. That sounds like weeding the field to me and maintaining. Prudent preparation forces us to make critical choices before we plant anything. By shifting from design, bid, build, plan, inspect, flow, yes, I said that, we can unleash the power of collaboration. Lean integrated project delivery, or lean IPD, was created for this purpose. This integrated process changes the timing and order of our engagement. Note specifically, who will build what now precedes how it should be built. Execution of lean IPD requires new perspective for all of us. Consider, there is one narrative, just one. Risk and reward are shared. Decisions are value-based. In all phases, nothing is done until it should be done. And yes, Megan, design is no exception. I will never forget my first visit to the big room. And yes, that's me in the picture labeled the big room. I'm an engineer. I am very anal. My comfort zone was attacked. My understanding of order was completely threatened. I was in a new world, just like my grandfather experienced. Project success wasn't prescripted. There were no manuals, there were no OPRs. Humans reached across borders to define what the harvest should be. We became the operative word. How are we going to deliver this as a team? Flow was no longer associated with fluid transport. How could this be? I'm an engineer. There's got to be a pump. Nope. Flow had a far more important role to play. And just for good measure, flow didn't start at the headwaters and move outbound. Oh, no, not at all. It's not that simple. Flow started at the vision of a built solution and backed up to understand the path that needed to be traveled, a path that revealed how the project would be delivered, what the order of events needed to be, and who owned the commitments along that path. My grandfather's teachings played out right in front of my eyes. So proper preparation will reveal all aspects of planting the correct crop. How we maintain that crop defines how bountiful our harvest will be. Step 2, I told you there were 3. Step 2 requires embracing digital technology. Transformation, though, is not simply associated with adapting new technology and buying the latest software. No, knowledge needs to be captured and linked. That's the important element. Let's explore critical aspects of managing this process and what opportunities the digital landscape affords us. Digital technology is creating vast amounts of data. We are literally swimming in data. We must figure out a way to connect all of this knowledge. The evolution of the Common Data Environment, CDE, is warranted to manage information, a single source, single truth, Lighthouse. The CDE platform sets the table for all portable project knowledge. Virtual design and construction, or VDC, is a process that moves us from static drawings to 7D BIM models. We are making the transition from static geometry to dynamic information. Remember when we shifted from paper to CAD? Well, the shift from CAD to digital models will be just as disruptive for some. Intelligent objects contain knowledge. Changing an object anywhere becomes an integrated change everywhere. Our use of a 7D platform will verify constructability, reveal time, capture economy, integrate performance modeling, and connect operations and maintenance. Printed documents will no longer, take a breath, printed documents will no longer be the primary representation of the project. I said that. The model becomes the database of all project knowledge. Generative design is a fascinating concept. Picture utilizing an augmented strategy to automate design development. Algorithms can test hundreds of variables in thousands of iterations. Humans still define the boundaries and goals, but software handles comparison. I'm an old guy. I still remember the countless hours that performance modeling used to require. Drawings had to be measured by hand to capture geometry, so much waste. Elements had to be found on details or buried in the specs, disconnected waste. Systems had to be manually configured in singular fashion. One change, just one change, required a complete redo of the entire simulation. Those days are behind us now. Objective-based integrated building design is at our fingertips for individuals who can write algorithms. Airflow patterns are vital. Simple throw patterns and arrows on 2D drawings do not reveal truth. What doors would open to us if we had insight into how air should act? Tools such as computational fluid dynamics, CFD, allow us to visualize thermal impact, understand the path of air, compare ventilation strategies, simulate thermal comfort, and demonstrate ventilation effectiveness. Oh, so powerful. By connecting sensors to a digital platform, we can create a virtual mirror of our physical asset. This digital twin allows us to embark on a continuous journey. We collect real-time performance data constantly, provide an evolving profile of past and current behavior, employ analytics to mine the data lake, searching for trends and patterns, identify actionable intelligence, and we keep repeating the cycle. Now consider what the power of this insight yields. For commissioning, we have a connected tool for tuning building performance constantly, 24/7. For operations, we transition from reactive to predictive response. For R&D, we have real-world information that supports validation of our performative simulations. I am excited to announce that our new ASHRAE headquarters is going to have a digital twin to support effective building operations in the spirit of Presidential Member Boyce. You've been watching the genesis of our digital twin unfold before you right now. Drones provide invaluable support logistics. Aerial mapping can capture all site and infrastructure content. Construction monitoring is available at any elevation. We are no longer tethered to ladders, lifts, and safety harnesses to view. Thermal mapping can be performed around an entire building envelope. This technology was used to evaluate the as-built integrity of our new ASHRAE headquarters. Thermography provided the insight needed to modify the existing envelope for a high-performance solution. I chuckle at times when talking with presidential member Tom Phoenix. He's a close friend and lives here in North Carolina also. As he recounts, his A&E firm was skeptical about the value of drones. I recall the expression gimmick being used more than once. They now own multiple drones. They are removing waste and securing new work in the process. Talk about an evolution. Scanning via light detection and ranging, LiDAR delivers precise point cloud maps of surfaces and complex geometries. We can scan densely packed settings, the mechanical room, for example, to capture true as-built conditions. We no longer need to search for paper and attempt to recreate what was built. Manual measurement is eliminated. Scanned point clouds can be integrated to our digital models. Technology captures the truth. Augmented reality, AR, can take model data and project a precision reference into the physical world. Peruse the possibilities as you explore actual LiDAR scans and AR projections inside our new ASHRAE mechanical room. Imagine using a simple cell phone and a positioning device to locate exactly where penetrations and attachments should occur, project a virtual installation onto the work zone, reveal where hidden infrastructure is actually located. Wearables allow us to project complete MEP layouts. If it's in the model, we can see it. Virtual insight allows us to see where work results should be performed. Oh, and the installed work, it can all be verified back with the 7D platform. So I told you there were 3 steps. Our third and final step moves our journey offsite. Let's take a journey. Design for manufacture and assembly, DFMA strategies, challenge where work is physically performed. Why should we even consider a narrative that moves work offsite? What are the benefits of decoupling work? Well, parallel work leads to shorter schedules and reduced overhead. Vertically integrated supply chains drive costs down. Automation reduces human and material waste. Precision, digital precision, enhances quality control and reduces rework. Applied correctly, this equates to enhanced economy, time, and quality. This is pure value. DFMA, that's so hard to say. Let's say modular. Modular requires us to think differently about system design. Put your thinking cap on. Transport logistics will influence layouts. Repeatability and standardization enable production efficiency. On-site logistics, of course, determine interface. We are only limited in our imagination by what can be shipped or moved. Modular is truly a scalable expression that can be executed at many levels. In its simplest form, we can prefabricate basic assemblies to support on-site or off-site just-in-time flow. And we've been doing this for years. Hookup kits for coils that go with terminal units, even getting the terminal units pre-configured a little bit. Big hookups for air handlers, some pipe racks, PRV stations. This is small potatoes compared to what is available to us with digital precision. Let's increase scale. I want to tell you what's really possible now. Let's increase scale to the equipment level. Unitized skids can be built, tested, commissioned, and validated, offering complete MEP setup. Wiring integrity can be verified. Sequences of operation can be simulated. Functional attributes can be all checked off. Addressing problems in the field is all but eliminated. Owners get to see firsthand that their systems do what they are supposed to do before they ever get to the job site. Oh, but it doesn't stop there. Imagine the ability to provide complete MEP solutions offsite. Super skids, rooms, and floors can all be imagineered. Picture a world where central plants are delivered to the job site. Yes, the entire plant. Oh, but there's more. The true definition of at scale can be understood when we realize that complete buildings can be modular. Pause and reflect on that a minute. We can now, due to virtual digital precision, we can design a virtually precise building in a 7D platform, build it all off-site, prepare the site to receive the modular solution, ship the modules to the project site staged for just-in-time flow, then assemble the modules in sequence to form a complete structure. Let your takeaway on this DFMA or modular narrative flow something like this. This is what's important. Because of digital precision, work results no longer need to adhere to start to finish thought. We have decoupled the sequential supply chain. And now let's bring it in for the landing. Welcome to the future ASHRAE. A new age awaits us. Collaboration, value, digital, and offsite are changing our ecosystem. Collaboration breaks us from fragmentation. We have an opportunity to challenge what work is, how it should be approached, and where it can be performed. We can engage our workforce in activities that seek and create value. Data becomes a critical resource. Everything that unfolds in the future revolves around data. I should say connected data. I know some of you personally have already started to travel this path, but many have not. So, innovators and novices, here's a critical point to remember. Our harvest is realized when we implement technology to improve our productivity. Humans are and remain the key. It is up to us to determine how we benefit from a connected digital world. And yes, the year 2020 moving into 2021 will be remembered in infamy as the year or years of the global pandemic. We are witnesses to indescribable tragedies. As for our industry, supply chains have been broken, projects have ground to a halt, all co-location events have pretty much ceased. But if we can look past the tragic and the headwinds, opportunity can be found. The very tools and procedures needed to improve our harvest are being thrust upon us, all of us. We are engaging in digital collaboration to survive as an industry. Reactive measures, however, do not answer the ultimate question. What can I do to deliver a bountiful harvest, Chuck? Well, here's what you can do, or better yet, should be doing right now. Implement a corporate digital core. Workforce, and workplace must be connected. Commit to a digital culture that expands appetite for risk. Engineers don't like hearing that. Expands appetite for risk, encourages experimentation, invest in digital talent, and expands collaboration skills. Adopt lean as a core philosophy. And finally, connect with ASHRAE members and resources to expand your understanding of what is possible. So, Industry 4.0 and the digital age of connection are here. Our world and industry are changing dramatically by force and maturation. Let's take a minute to look at ASHRAE, though, literally, in this case, as you explore CFD simulations of our new headquarters. And yes, that's one of the floor plate wings with the spaghetti diagrams. We have grown up with ENC. The challenges we see in industry can be seen in our own society. Silo effect, slow to change. We're a really big battleship that does not turn on a dime. Behind the digital curve. As your society president, here is our challenge. We must transform our society to be a digital beacon for our ecosystem, find our internal value, and eliminate waste. Prepare us, all of us, to be innovators in a digital world that unfolds before us. So please join me in preparing, planting, maintaining, and delivering our bountiful harvest. If you would stop the recording, please. Society theme for this year. And we must thank the Beatles for making that song available so many years ago, knowing it would be needed at this point in time.
That's great. Well, it's the first time we've had anybody sing for us, at least in the Wisconsin chapter.
I told you it was going to be dinner and a movie.
That's great. I guess I think, Chuck, you probably only have a couple minutes left here, but do we have time to open up the floor for any questions?
Oh, absolutely. I will stay as long as you would like for me to.
All right. So I guess with that, what questions do you guys have?
I want to know if I scared Megan off.
I'm still here. No, you didn't scare me off.
I got one, Chuck. How many times have you given this speech?
Today makes 110. Actually, no, it's probably 115. I've done it for outside of ASHRAE, so it's about 115. Can you tell I kind of know the material by heart now?
And you're passionate about it.
I am very passionate about it, and that's what a good theme is supposed to be about. You know, it's funny. I will tell you a story here while you're formulating questions that pin me against the wall. When I had the vision of this theme, there was no pandemic. It was not even part of the lexicon of what we know. The ASHRAE president starts planning their speech and their theme when they become treasurer. It starts that early. And we had rolled into, this would have been the start of Daryl's year. So while I was president-elect, it was time to circle the wagons and get all the content and start putting the speech together. And the speech was pretty much written coming out of, where were we last winter meeting? We were together, Orlando. And then the pandemic hit, and all I did was change a few items and gave a nod to the severity of the pandemic and what it meant to our industry at the very end. But it is fortuitous, if that's the right word, that the vision I had for our theme this year had so much more meaning with what we are living through right now. So just to give you a little insight that not everybody knows about.
Chuck, I've got a question for you. What, you know, this digital age you talked about throughout this presentation, what kind of security concerns or threats do you see, be it the stealing of intellectual property, being, you know, let's say you're working on a project that's all digital and you have that's stolen or compromised in some way. How realistic is that, and what are some of the safeguards you could put in place to minimize or prevent that from happening?
Well, that's an interesting question, and that is going to be one of the hurdles we have to work through from a purely collaborative structure. And I'm going to start at the end and come back. I'm all about flow. In the end game, following this model all the way through, the owner ends up with a digital twin of their facility that they can use to manage and maintain. And to develop that, there's actually one BIM model in play that everybody is working in, and the owners own that model. So this narrative that, and I've been a consulting engineer, so I understand what's going on here. The whole concept of who has rights and ownerships of intellectual property becomes a moot point, because the owner owns the model and everybody's working in the owner's model, and the owner evolves it into the digital twin so that they can maintain the facility. That is going to be a very painful narrative for the A&E community to navigate. That's a great question. I'm glad you asked it. I'm not going to tippy-toe around it.
Well, I just,
On that, go ahead, Paul.
no, I was just gonna say, I mean, I see, let's say the owner owns it, that's great, but the owner still can have his intellectual property and his BIM model hacked, right? And that would be, if I'm looking at it from the owner's perspective, that would be something that I would be, particularly if I've invested monetarily into this, I'd be very concerned about.
And that's a different angle and another good point, the cybersecurity of that information. They are held pretty tight on the ones, I'm taking my ASHRAE head off now, on the ones I've been on. The security to access that's pretty robust, but it's not going to prevent people that are smarter than we are as engineers from worming their way into a system through phishing expeditions with all the team players.
Chuck, I noticed in the times that I've heard your speech, I haven't heard you emphasize much about the necessary contractual arrangements between all the parties in an IPD project.
Mm-hmm.
Is that intentional?
No, I'll be happy to elaborate. It's intentional from the standpoint, Rick, that the president is limited to a runway of a 28-minute speech. So there's not time to say everything that needs to be said. So somehow some stuff has to be skipped or dealt with at a really high elevation. On a lean IPD project, the way I have seen it develop for the last 10 years I've been doing them, you're invited by the owner to the team, and it's all one big shared risk reward contract. You don't have multiple silos of contractual responsibility. Everybody's in the room together. They're all brought in. They're all invited based upon their expertise and their capacity to handle the scale and the complexity of the project. It's just skipping the whole process of the interviews and picking on qualification. You're brought in by the owners right at the very beginning. And there's one contract. You do work out the details of the shared risk reward, or their liquidated damages involved, some of those little nuances. But contractually, it's one contract.
Got it.
It's part of that busting the silos and getting away from fragmentation and who is responsible for reporting to who. Hit me, pin me down, ask me hard questions.
I was gonna say, we had a question come up in the chat. It said, Chuck, how long did it take for BIM to go from concept to maturity?
To go from concept to maturity. I would say it's very mature right now. I love that, and I'm not going to go commercial and call out any one of the two big players that are making the platforms available, but they are embedding incredible performative capacity within the platform, CFD analysis, performative simulations, energy, water, daylighting. It is sophisticated what can be done. So the maturity of these platforms is very robust. The part that is not mature is our ability to have individuals that can use these tools and think and design in a world of smart objects. I'm still a guy, full transparency here. I still have my triangles and my ink pens from when I started in the business. I did take the dimes off the back of the triangles because I needed lunch money somewhere along the line, but I still have the tape on the back of them. I mean, that tells you how vintage I am. Our challenge is not so much are the tools ready? They are. The challenge is finding the talent in the pool of budding engineers and designers that can think and work in that world. And that is where our future is.
Chuck, another question for you. Independent of ASHRAE, resources to either enhance your ability to understand these digital platforms or to obtain skills related to some of the things you've talked about in manufacturing, BIM, looking at, other ways to enhance your ability, your skills to be able to do some of this.
Great. I would ask that everybody go look at the presidential webpage on the ASHRAE website and the resource portal. I do point you into a number of directions, but specifically, see how I can do this non-commercial and tiptoe around that. Some of our peer society entities, MCAA and SMACNA, have incredible virtual design documents that are available. I highly encourage you to have those available at hand that talk you through from the design build standpoint of what is possible with virtual design and construction. I would point you to the Lean Construction Institute to understand and learn all that is what Lean Integrated Project Delivery is about. If you wanted to get into the commercial arena, I'm not going to mention any names, but one starts with an A and one starts with a B. They have incredible training opportunities available for free, where you can get into the deeper dive aspects of how to make connected information work and really how to apply their tools to do all of these things. The part of the question I wish I could provide, Paul, and it's what I have being worked on right now, is what can ASHRAE offer on this. Right now, we have a BIM MTG, and I think we have a document out there. I don't know how robust that is. I know the NIBS of National Institute of Building Sciences claim to be the keeper of the national BIM standard. So we have information, resources, guidance in many different plates, and not one of them really is on the ASHRAE plate, and I'm trying to change that dynamic.
Thank you.
I love your questions. You are really cutting to the chase, and I appreciate that.
It's interesting, very interesting to me.
We got another question from the chat from Tom. What challenges do you see in standardizing emerging technologies so that a BIM twin created today still has value 20 years from now?
That is an awesome question. This is going to fall into the sophistication and whether an owner actually thinks it's important to have it in the first place. I am taking my ASHRAE hat off again, I'm very fortunate to work in a Fortune 100 design build world where these companies want and need this as a facilities management resource, and they are on top of it. They are using it for remote assist when they have problems. They are using it for predictive maintenance and figuring out, okay, I've got a bearing about to go bad. They are doing all the wonderful things. They don't carry paper around anymore. They don't have the 3-ring binders in the hidden in the closet in the shop, and the drawings on paper on the stick file hanging in the closet. Also, everything's digital. If something's happening with something, it's brought up. The smart object is brought up to understand the data that's being collected with it, and to access electronically the IOM information or the performance information or the original test and balance or the continuous test and balance type activities. It's all connected information. So it is a self-fulfilling deliverance, if you will, that people are going to keep this going. And if it ever were to become that, well, we just can't afford to do it, it's going to just become outdated PlayStation and collect dust. So for what it's doing and impacting the bottom line cost of widgets that people make, it is a valuable tool, and I don't see it devolving in any capacity. If anything, we're going to learn more as we start to go wireless and the whole industry 4.0 connectivity and Internet of Things make it even more robust and accessible from outside of wherever the base camp may be for the complex and facility. So sky's the limit on this. And if you want to read some stuff beyond just our traditional, go look at items that are published by McKinsey Global. What's the other one I'm trying to think of? Dodge. There's a number of them. And if you actually went and looked at the slides from where I plagiarized with proper attribution in the theme speech, there's a lot of great information out there by visionary entities that are looking at this whole evolution of where the digital age is going in engineering and construction. Spin that question differently. Think about the mindset involved now for this relationship of this tripartite relationship of owner, contractor, and designer, and how it's critical to work together so that an end game product is matured along that 3D, 4D, 5D, 6D, 7D platform path so that this is available. It's forcing people to think differently about the interaction of what we knew engineers did and what they don't have to do anymore, and what contractors didn't do before need to pick up and do more of now. It's an interesting dynamic.
Any more questions out there?
Hit me. Hit me.
Yeah. Well, I guess if there's no more questions, we can sign off a little bit early, but really appreciate you taking the time today.
I have enjoyed being here, and I thank you so much. And I want to come back in person. There's a great little restaurant near MSOE that's got some of the most incredible Italian sausage. I want to get back to it.
Well, you don't want to come back right now. It's like -1 degree out right now. So, but we'd love to have you in the summer.
I am very good with my above freezing conditions here in North Carolina right now. I concur with that. Maybe before my year's out in May, June timeframe, I can get there.
God willing.
Sounds great.
That
We'll have
would
a
be,
little less
that would
snow
be,
then.
that would